Welcome everyone to another episode of Talk Radio. I'm so glad you tuned in today. But before we dive into today's topic, I want to take a moment to reflect on where we are in 2025. As of today, April 7th, we've already made it 26.58% through the year. That's 13 weeks and 6 days, or 97 days to be exact. If you're into numbers, that's 2,328 hours, 139,680 minutes, or a staggering 8,380,800 seconds that have already ticked by. It's kind of mind blowing, isn't it? Time seems to slip away faster than we realize. We all know that feeling of starting the year full of goals and ambitions, and yet here we are, already a quarter of the way through. Time doesn't stop, and it doesn't wait for anyone. But even though we can't rewind or relive those past days, the beauty is that we still have a world of opportunities ahead of us. There's still so much time to make meaningful progress, to learn, to grow, and to make this year count. So, with that in mind, let's jump into today's discussion. We're going to talk about something that is often difficult to accept, but something that is absolutely essential for our personal and professional growth. Embracing change. We've all heard the phrase, change is the only constant. But why is it so hard to embrace? Why do we resist it, even when it's the key to moving forward? Today we're going to break it down, look at the reasons behind this resistance, and dive into why embracing change is not just a necessity, but a crucial step in shaping the future we want for ourselves. Whether it's a shift in our personal lives, a change in the workplace, or a change in how we view the world, change is inevitable. But the way we respond to it can either hold us back or push us toward the growth we crave. So let's explore how we can better understand change, accept it, and ultimately use it to our advantage.
The following is rated TV MA and is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Talk Radio. I'm so glad you've tuned in for this week's Motivational Monday. As always, it's my goal to get you inspired and ready to take on the week ahead. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that often feels uncomfortable, but is so crucial for growth: embracing change. Let's be real. It's easy to resist change. The unknown can be scary, and stepping out of our comfort zones often feels risky. But here's the thing: true growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. It happens when we push ourselves to evolve, even when it feels tough. So the big question is, are you ready to get uncomfortable? Because that's where the magic happens. Let's dive in. I'm going to challenge you today to rethink how you view change. Instead of seeing it as a hurdle, I want you to start viewing it as an opportunity to stretch, to learn, and to evolve into the person you're meant to be. Now, I know that sounds easier said than done, but trust me, it's worth the effort. A little audience engagement here. But before we jump into all that, I want to hear from you. Change affects us all, and I'm sure you've had your fair share of experiences with it. Have you ever resisted change in your life? Maybe you stayed in a job that you hated because it felt safer than stepping into the unknown. Or maybe you held off on making a big decision because the risk felt too overwhelming. How did that turn out for you? Was it worth it? Did you learn something from that resistance? Or did you feel stuck, wishing you'd embraced change sooner? I'd love to hear your stories, reflections on this. Drop a comment, reach out on social media. I want to know how you've dealt with change in your life. And don't be shy. Your story could inspire someone else who's in the exact same position. Let's share our experiences and learn from each other. So, what are your stories of resistance and change? Let's get the conversation going. Alright, let's dive into the heart of today's topic. Let's start with the big question. Why are we so afraid of change? It's something that everyone deals with at some point, yet it's also something we all tend to resist. Change can be small, like trying a new hobby or moving to a new city, or it can be huge, like quitting a job, ending a relationship, or making a major life decision. But no matter the size, there's a part of us that holds on to what we know. Why is that? Why do we cling to the familiar, even when it might not be the best thing for us? The reality is, change introduces uncertainty, and let's face it, uncertainty can be terrifying. Change introduces uncertainty, which can be intimidating. When we think about change, what often comes up is fear. It's the fear of the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen next. Will you succeed? Will things go wrong? This fear is natural because we like control. We like to know what's ahead. But change throws that certainty out the window. It forces us to step into uncharted territory. The comfort zone feels safe, but it can also prevent us from growing. Now, think about the comfort zone. It's like our personal bubble. A place where we feel safe, where things are predictable. But guess what? That safety can also keep us stuck. When we choose to stay in that comfort zone, we avoid challenges, we avoid growth, and we avoid the very opportunities that change can bring. Sometimes, staying comfortable actually means staying stagnant. Many of the most successful people in history embraced discomfort and took risks. Look at the stories of the most successful people, the ones we admire, people like Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, Elon Musk. These individuals didn't let their fear of change stop them. In fact, they embraced it. They took risks, made bold decisions, and yes, they faced failures along the way. But each step they took into the unknown led them to something bigger and something better. Think about it. Making a change in your life, even when it scares you, opens the door to so many new opportunities. We've all heard that classic story of someone who quits their soul crushing job to follow their passion. Maybe they took a risk. Maybe they were uncertain, but it paid off in the end. And you know what? That's not just a feel good story, it's reality. Change can be the spark for something truly amazing. I'll be honest with you. There have been times in my own life where I was terrified to make a change. I stayed in situations I didn't like, jobs I didn't enjoy, and relationships that weren't healthy. Why? Because I was scared. Scared of what might happen if I took the leap. But here's the thing. When I finally faced that fear, when I stepped into the unknown, that's when things started to shift for the better. I found a new sense of purpose, new opportunities, and a new version of myself. The power of embracing change is that it leads to transformation, and that's where the magic happens. Now, I want to hear from you. We are all in this together, and I know many of you have had experiences where you've been resistant to change. So let me ask you, what's one change you've been resisting in your own life? It could be anything. Maybe you've been putting off making a big decision, or maybe you're afraid to take a risk. Whatever it is, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment, send me a message on the social medias, Facebook, TikTok, X, um, and share your story with me. I want to read about your experiences and thoughts on this. Who knows? Your story might be the exact push someone else needs to embrace change. Change isn't easy, but as we continue today, we're going to break down how we can not only face change head on, but use it to propel us toward our best selves. Stay tuned. Let's continue this conversation and take on the fear of change together. Alright, let's dive a little deeper into why embracing change can feel like such a tough challenge. It's not just about being scared or unsure. It's actually rooted in the science of our brains. Yep, there's some serious neuroscience behind it. Why we fear change. The comfort zone effect. Our brains crave predictability. When it comes down to it, our brains are wired to seek safety and predictability. It's why we form routines and stick to what we know, even when it's not the best for us. Think about it. When we're stuck in a rut, even if we're not happy, we tend to stay there. Why? Because it's familiar. Our brains are trying to keep us safe, but in the long run, that comfort zone can be a prison, holding us back from the growth we are meant to experience. Loss aversion. We fear losing what we have more than we value gaining something new. This one's a biggie. Studies show that we humans tend to fear losing what we already have more than we value the potential gain of something new. If we're offered a promotion, for example, we might hesitate because we're afraid of leaving the stability of our current position behind. Or in a relationship, we might stay because we're scared of being alone or losing the familiar, even if the relationship isn't fulfilling. It's all about risk. Our brains are hardwired to avoid loss, even if the change would ultimately bring us greater happiness. Overthinking the what ifs. The unknown is scarier than staying in an uncomfortable but familiar situation. We're all guilty of overthinking, right? It's human nature. But when we think about change, especially major life decisions, our minds immediately go into overdrive with what ifs. What if I fail? What if it doesn't work out? What if I regret it? The unknown feels more threatening than the discomfort of the familiar. But that's exactly why we need to push through that resistance. The unknown is where growth happens. For example, think about the times when you've stayed in a job that you hated because it felt safe. Or maybe you stayed in a relationship that wasn't fulfilling just because the idea of being alone seemed worse than the discomfort you were already experiencing. Sound familiar? That's your brain trying to protect you. I'm trying to speak clearly here. Keeping you in what feels safe and predictable. And it's not a bad thing. It's a survival instinct. But here's the thing. We're not running from wild animals anymore. We have the tools, the knowledge, and the ability to handle change. Our brains just need a little push to realize that it's okay to embrace it. A little inspirational quote here, people. Growth and comfort do not coexist. Ginny Rometty. Does that quote hit home or what? You can't grow if you're always staying in the same spot. Never challenging yourself. Never stepping out of your comfort zone. We've all heard the saying, you've got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's because growth is messy. It's uncomfortable. It challenges us. But it's the only way we evolve. Evolve. If you're comfortable right now, you might not be growing. Sure, it feels easy, but it's also holding you back from the possibilities you could unlock. If you want to move forward, whether it's in your career, personal life, or relationships, you've got to get uncomfortable. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's true. And once you start pushing through that discomfort, that's when the magic starts to happen. So, the science is clear. Our brains are naturally wired to resist change. But now that we know the why, it's time to start looking at the how. How can we break through that resistance and embrace change, even when it feels impossible? Let's dive into some practical tips and strategies to help us push past the fear and make positive change happen. Stay tuned. Alright, now that we've tackled the tough part of change, let's focus on the upside. Change doesn't always have to be scary, right? What if instead of fearing it, we started to see change as an opportunity? What if instead of asking what if this goes wrong, we asked what if this goes right? Examples of change leading to growth. Change isn't just a scary unknown. It can be the doorway to some of the most rewarding experiences of our lives. Think about this. Quitting a job you hate. Imagine quitting a job that makes you miserable. It's a tough choice. But what if that job change leads you to discover a passion or a career you never knew existed? You might end up doing something that fills you with purpose and excitement. Something that a few years ago you might not have even thought was possible. It's that leap of faith that opens the door to new paths. Moving to a new place. Moving to a new city or country can be daunting, no doubt about it. But once you take that step, you open yourself up to new opportunities, experiences, and perspectives. You meet new people, explore different cultures, and find new adventures that you wouldn't have encountered if you stayed in your comfort zone. It's like unlocking a whole new world you didn't even know was waiting for you. Ending a toxic relationship. It's never easy to let go of something or someone that's been a part of your life for so long. But ending a toxic relationship, whether it's personal or professional, can give you the space to grow. You'll have the chance to surround yourself with people who uplift and support you rather than drag you down. And often, it's only when we leave behind what's draining us that we can truly start to flourish. That's what it looks like, flourish. Um, think about a time in your life when you took a leap of faith, stepped out of your comfort zone, and it paid off. Maybe you took a risk and moved across the country for a new job, even though it was terrifying. Maybe you decided to cut ties with someone who was holding you back from becoming the person you wanted to be. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it. What was the outcome? I want to hear from you. Think back to those moments when you took a step outside your comfort zone and things turned out better than you expected. Maybe it was a career shift, a new relationship, or simply taking on a new challenge. Send me a message or drop a comment. Let's inspire each other with our stories and celebrate the positive power of change. Stepping outside of your comfort zone might feel like you're walking into the unknown, but it's also where incredible things happen. The power to change lies in your hands. The next time you're faced with an opportunity to embrace something new, ask yourself, what if this goes right? Because when you take those leaps, you're paving the way for something better, something more fulfilling, and something that could change your life in ways you can't even imagine. So as we continue today, think about the power of choices. Choices. Not just one choice, but many choices. You have the ability to change your life, to open new doors, and to embrace new experiences. And the best part, you don't have to do it alone. Together, we can inspire each other to step out of our comfort zones and make 2025 the year of growth. Together, you all and me, working together, watching the show, doing the show, commenting and sharing your ideas and your thoughts and your opinions and your life stories. We can grow together. It's not a bad thing. Okay? It's not a bad thing. Alright, so we know that change is essential for growth. But how do we actually embrace it without falling apart? It's one thing to talk about stepping outside our comfort zones, but it's also another to actually make that leap. So let's break it down. Here are some strategies to help you not just accept the change, but embrace it like a pro. Reframe your mindset. Instead of thinking about what could go wrong, try asking, what if this goes right? This small shift in perspective can completely change the way you approach a new situation. By focusing on the possibilities, not the pitfalls, you open your mind to all the positive outcomes that could come from embracing change. It's all about retraining your brain to see the opportunities, not just the risks. Start small. You don't have to overhaul your entire life at once. Start with small, manageable changes. Think of it like stepping stones. Each one you cross builds your confidence and brings you closer to bigger shifts. Maybe it's starting a new hobby, changing up your routine, or setting a small goal. These little changes add up and will eventually lead to bigger transformations. Learn from setbacks. Let's face it, not every change will go smoothly. We've all had setbacks along the way, but here's the thing. Setbacks aren't failures. They're lessons. When something doesn't go as planned, take a step back and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Every challenge teaches us something valuable, whether it's about ourselves, the process, or what we need to adjust going forward. And surround yourself with growth-minded people. The people around us can either lift us up or hold us back. Surround yourself with those who are open to change and growth. Their positivity and willingness to embrace the unknown will inspire you to do the same. It's contagious, okay? Having a support system of like-minded individuals can help you stay motivated and encouraged, especially when the going gets tough. Practice saying yes. Sometimes the best way to embrace change is to say yes to new opportunities, even if they scare you at first. That's right, say yes. Whether it's a new job, a new relationship, or a new project, saying yes can open doors you never imagined. The more you say yes, the more you'll discover about yourself and what you're truly capable of. I get it. Change can be intimidating. It's a big step, and there's always that voice in your head telling you to stay comfortable. But here's the truth. Growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. If you want to see real change in your life, you have to be willing to take risks and push through the fear. Okay, a little challenge for my viewers. This week, I challenge you to say yes to something new. Maybe it's signing up for that class you've been thinking about, talking to someone you don't know, or even taking a trip somewhere you've never been. Whatever it is, try something outside your comfort zone. Let me know what happens. Shoot me a message. Drop me a comment. I want to hear all about your experiences and what you learned from stepping outside of your comfort zone. Because sometimes we all have to do that. Stepping out of our comfort zone. Remember, change is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. But by taking small steps, shifting your mindset, and surrounding yourself with the right people, you'll build the confidence to face whatever comes your way. So, take that first step today. Embrace change, grow, and see where it takes you. Now, as we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with one thought. Change is uncomfortable, but so is staying stuck. Think about it. You can stay in the same place, caught in the safety of the familiar, or you can choose to face the discomfort of change and step into a better future. The truth is, growth happens when you push yourself to move forward, even when the path ahead isn't clear. So if you're standing at a crossroads today, I encourage you, take the leap. You don't have to have all the answers, but you do need to make the decision to move. Coming up this next week, let's see, next week's sneak peek. Next Monday, we're going to dive into something that's just as important as embracing change, how to turn failures into fuel. Because let's face it, failure is part of the journey. We all stumble. But the real question is, can you use those stumbles to propel yourself forward? I'll be sharing insights on how to reframe failure, turning it into a learning experience, and use it as a catalyst for even greater success. You won't want to miss it. Thank you all for tuning into today's Motivational Monday. I hope you're feeling inspired to embrace change and start taking those small steps toward growth. Don't forget, change doesn't have to be terrifying. It can be the key to unlocking your fullest potential. Remember, you've got this, you know. If today's episode helped you or got you thinking, share it with a friend. You might need who might need a little push to embrace their own changes. Keep the conversation going. Keep growing. And I'll see you all next week. Until then, stay bold, stay brave, and keep evolving. And feel free to use some of the hashtags that are in the description of this video as you're talking to me and stuff, sharing comments or talking on social media. Use some of the hashtags to kind of, you know, get some views on this video, help me grow. You know, I'm taking change. I'm making changes with the pre-recorded stuff and actually like putting myself out there with these videos. Feeling weird sometimes because it's kind of funny and weird to be talking to a camera, but I'm actually talking to people, but it's not in person, so it feels weird. So that's a change for me. It's like embracing that change. It's kind of making me work on getting better at this stuff and talking to you all and motivating you all to stay with what you want to do. Grow personally, grow businessly, whatever, professionally, not businessly. Um, but yeah, just continue to be the best you can be. That's all anybody ever asks of anybody. Be the best you that you can be. With that, I'll see you next week on Motivational Monday. And stay tuned for tomorrow on Trending Tuesday. We got some good stuff about like TikTok and stuff. It's going to be interesting. So stay tuned to that, and I'll talk to y'all later.